Hello, welcome to Snowball Madness A to Z. There are 142 different kinds of snowballs you can throw, and we are on letter B today. The things that we're going to be looking at are beacons, blaze rods, blue orchid, bone, bookshelves, bows, bricks, and all variations of buckets. Let's start with the blue orchid. Now, if you remember in the previous one, if we have stacked snowballs, they will fire in multipliers, and as you might imagine from As Your Bluet, blue orchids can be used as signaling. It's a lovely blue firework. There is some consistency in this in that all the flowers that do something will be firing off different variations of fireworks. Now, beacons, as we learned last time, have the effect of increasing the speed of the snowball. And this may come in handy if we're using the bone. Because bones are one of the things that fire a knockback effect. It's not a very powerful knockback effect, but it does work. As you can see, this pig has just... goodbye, Mr. Pig. Okay, so, yeah, we did this yesterday, so we're not going to go there again. We will seek something else to abuse. Let's see. It's a special kind of knockback. It will knock things upwards as well as just forwards. Normal knockback is not especially helpful when you've got things up against walls, but the knockback built into Snowball Madness is more effective at dealing with that kind of stuff. As you can see, we can send these guys flying pretty well. Now notice this will be a useful thing. The sugar cane can be made into sugar, and sugar is another speed booster. Now, if I'm not mistaken, speed of the attack is not going to give you that much in knockback. It hasn't changed very much. But power may or may not also give you more knockback. I think you can power knockback. It just doesn't give you all that much. Bone is not the exciting one. We've also got fence posts and nether fence posts, which will give you much more powerful knockback. But those are different letters. We're on B. And as such, we might want to look at things like bricks. As you can see, this is a block placer. You get to add as many bricks as you like, and powering it and speeding it don't do anything. By the same token, if you can get bookshelves, you can get all the bookshelves you could possibly want. Snowball Madness is all about making things run a little bit quicker if you want them to run quicker. And of course, if you break these books with a tool, then you can get books out of them. Bookshelves with the tool, rather. Now let's see, beacon. Oh, yes. Blaze rod. Up first, let's have a quick look at bow. Bows are nice little speed boosts. They're not as intense as fancy things like cake or beacons or cookies, but they're about as good as you can get without baked goods. Cakes are a very powerful speed boost. but the bows are powerful enough that you can get an attack fast enough that it won't necessarily render it correctly. You'll see as I approach possible targets that will respond to my attack, they will line up with my crosshairs, but the depiction of the snowball flying off will often be drawn a little sideways. See? I've got that guy right in the crosshairs. I'm hitting him with the bone again, but it's drawing the snowball a little crooked. Now we can play with the blaze rod. This might prove amusing to you. And here we have our books, just as promised. Blaze rod used as a direct effect from the snowball fires a fireball, but there's something that you must know that you wouldn't have noticed from using the double bow speeded up version, and that is this. Ow. Blaze rod fireballs don't fly straight. They certainly don't fly straight in the overworld. They don't necessarily fire very fast either, but as you can see, it's done a proper U-turn. And sometimes they'll just keep going and going forever, so it's possible to get unpleasant lag problems using these. They're not super well worked out, but they are ever so much fun. Let's get a little beacon going on and a little pork cooking. There's our pork dinner. Only a few mountains destroyed in the process of making our pork dinner. Let's try to get this block. There we go. It's rather dangerous having this kind of thing with these projectiles that go flying off in a distance. Let's see if we can get this pig. That would be a yes. Now we've explained the bricks, we've explained the bows, we've explained the bookshelves, we've explained bones, blue orchids, blaze rods, and beacons. That leaves all these buckets. And you may well ask what the buckets do. For instance, the milk bucket. That was easy. If you have a milk bucket, you can generate all the cows you want. So that's instant food right there. It's one of the more desirable forms of instant food. And if you want to cook your cows, you can cook your cows in lava, at which point you'll get some lovely cooked beef, and then get the heck out of there quickly. Remembering, of course, that snowballs multiply. So technically, you can do the multiplier snowballs. And create what you might call a bit of a mess. Now, as you might expect, it might be a thing to use the water bucket similarly. Logical, but not all that handy. Now we've just got water everywhere. So what you might want to do, having tried the milk bucket, having tried the lava bucket, having tried the the water bucket, is empty bucket. empty bucket empties out liquids. Let's change the time around again. And you'll notice that I put a glowstone and glowstone dust. That's because I'm trying to expand the size of the bucket. The power of it is determined by the size of it. In fact, what we can do is exaggerate that somewhat. As you can see, I've grabbed nether stars. Nether stars is the most extreme power boost along the same lines as the glowstone. One thing you can observe with the nether star is if you have such high power, it will tend to make the snowball go a lot slower, and that's going to be a big challenge if you're doing things like explosives. And since I'm doing a double nether star, I'm making an enormous bucket for the removing of liquids. How enormous? This enormous. That's the size of the double nether star water bucket. Also known as the Moses effect. Now, one possible challenge is if you're in the bottom of the sea, you might not actually be clearing the water the surface of the water is not being cleared. So essentially what you got to do is make your way up to somewhere that the top of the bucket will make a space. Okay. Or not. And we fly away merrily. And that is what the empty water bucket does. And that is the conclusion of Snowball Madness, letter B. Beacons, blaze rods, blue orchids, bones, bookshelves, bows, bricks, buckets of all kinds. Thank you very much, and have fun with Snowball Madness. Ta-ta.